Hello, fellow basement dwellers, and in today's video, I will be explaining historical figures who were actually just the God Emperor of mankind. And, yes, the meme intro was quite misleading. No, he was not that weirdo. In this video, I picked 10 historical figures who I believe were actually the God Emperor of mankind. Anyway, enough dilly-dallying, let's get into it. The first man on this list is literally confirmed in Master of Mankind to be Alexander the Great. Now, for those who don't know, in Master of Mankind, it is said that the Emperor of Mankind was many historical figures pushing mankind forward. Any hat he had to wear to benefit mankind, he would wear without question. And so Alexander the Great's pretty much confirmed in Master of Mankind that, Alexander the Great was just the emperor, so I'm not even going to drill on that long. But a lesser-known historical figure is Scipio. Now, for those who don't know, Scipio was a Roman general who predates the Roman Empire. This is back when, Rome was a republic. And he pretty much was able to beat off Hannibal. Now, Hannibal was going around Rome, burning it all to the ground, not attacking the capital Rome because his army wasn't meant for a prolonged siege. And so he then attacks, the other guy where he wasn't by cutting off his supply lines and effing with his empire until eventually, he attacked the capital of his empire and the two had a massive, battle where he eventually defeated Hannibal. And I believe that the God Emperor of mankind was Scipio. I believe that, obviously, given we see all the Roman influence in the Imperium, we see that freaking half his kids are very Roman-coded, so it's very clear that he spent a lot of time in Rome, especially given the fact that he predates the Empire, so obviously he would have known of it. The next guy on our list is Julius Caesar. I believe that the God Emperor of mankind was Julius Caesar. Now, for those of you who don't know, Julius Caesar was a noble-born guy, but his family was on the wrong side of history, according to the Romans, and so he was, even though he was nobility, he wasn't regarded very well. But he was a general, and defeated a, massive rebellion, but someone else took credit for the rebellion's defeat, and so he eventually was, flew through the ranks of the Roman military, and he was posted on the border of Gaul. For those of you who don't know, what is now modern-day France used to be known as Gaul. Now, he had a massive army, and he was just told to sit there and wait to stop barbarian tribes from, coming down and pillaging Rome. Now, he pretty much said, fuck it, we ball, and invaded modern-day France. Went up against, General called Vercingetorix, defeated them, and was able to, defeat all of France, and then came back to Rome. Now, after defeating, a massive threat to Rome, he marched his army back to Rome, but, there was a Roman law that pretty much said that, hey, you can't bring your military past this river known as the Rubicon, and, you see, the Senate made the mistake of wanting to arrest Julius Caesar, so he just kind of said, fuck it, we ball, and crossed the Rubicon. That's actually where the, slang comes from. Hey, we've crossed the Rubicon, we can't go back. Because, Julius Caesar couldn't go back after he crossed the Rubicon. So he pretty much took over Rome, became, made himself dictator. Not emperor, dictator. It wasn't, it's still a republic. And was very popular with pretty much everyone until the other senators got jealous of him pretty much and stabbed him repeatedly. Also, it was right before his death that he invented the cheapest pizza on the planet. Now, obviously, we're going to be wondering, how did the emperor, get stabbed by normal dudes? I believe he just kind of let it happen, like he psychically saw what they were doing, and he just projected them the image of, him dying, and he just kind of dipped out. Or maybe he straight up just depowered and let it happen, knowing that he's going to be reborn. I don't know. Okay. So I know this sounds bad, but the next entry on this list, and I want to clarify, everything hereforth is strictly 40k lore. I am not meaning to step on the toes of any religion. Obviously, I'm going to be stepping on the toes of Christianity a lot, but I am obviously a Christian, so I don't mean any offense to it. I simply mean in the context of 40k. So if I say, blank isn't real or blank is fake, that's only in the context of 40k. I believe in God and I believe in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Anyway, so the next entry on this list, who is actually just the God Emperor of mankind, is Jesus Christ. So we see in 40K, during the Great Crusade, that part of the reason they were putting down religion is because all of the pagan type religions and all the religions that just pop up all over the place, because there were only pagan religions throughout all of the million planets they conquered. Think about that. Every single planet that was conquered, by the Imperium had some sort of pagan religion, but no Abrahamic religions. I believe that all forms of human worship, with the exception of Abrahamic faiths, in the context of 40K, will lead to chaos worship. Because even Erebus, the dickhead, Erebus grew up on, Colchis, and Colchis was a pseudo form of chaos worship, even though the natives didn't know that. I believe that all forms of paganism will go to eventually worshiping the chaos gods, and I believe that's why he pretended to be Jesus, so that way people would stop worshiping the chaos gods. But the God Emperor Mankind didn't know at the time that worship and admiration for God has to go somewhere. I believe he just wanted to redirect it from chaos, not knowing where it's going to go. But in actuality, because he's the one who pretended to be Jesus, then he actually got empowered by all this faith. But because the max amount of humans, especially Christians, in the world only had a few million at any time, maybe a tens of million, this didn't really matter too much. It was a drop in the bucket. It barely empowered him. He would barely notice. And I'll get into why he became against all forms of religion. Maybe that's something to do with a massive population boom after World War II. Well, it went from just a handful of worshippers to literal billions of worshippers. So I believe that, he might have been getting the teensiest, tiniest empowerment by, Christianity. But then when the population boom after World War II happened, when Earth had billions of people and billions worshiping him, this then began to empower him massively. And that's why he's now super against religion. And instead of wanting to direct worship to a new god, he wants to get rid of all worship. Because we also see in some 40K novels that the Catan mention that the God Emperor Mankind is just a weapon of the old ones. So this weapon as a dude who's also a weapon, he still has to somewhat, adhere to his programming. Although, do keep in mind he's a weapon who went rogue, that he probably doesn't want to be empowered and, worshipped like a god, but he might not have had all the information on how gods work. So I believe he was Jesus in order to, get people's worship away from chaos, but then during the population boom after World War II, we realized, oh crap, I don't want to be a god anymore, especially if I want mankind, populate the entire galaxy. Okay, so enough on that, let's go. Hey, before we cover the next guy, honorable mention is Plinius the Elder. I believe that obviously the God Emperor Mankind was Plinius. Now, for those who don't know, Plinius was a general, scholar, tactician, just nobility, soldier, everything. But most of all, he was one curious fella. And he decided, wouldn't it be interesting if I just wrote down all of the world's knowledge? So, although his contributions were massive, his inspiration, writing everything down, will inspire millions of historians and millions of, people researching history and, writing everything down. So much of the world knowledge, even though it wasn't, written down by Plinius, is because of Plinius. So I believe Plinius was the emperor. Now, next up in our official list, Constantine the Great. Now, going with my theory that the God Emperor Mankind's, brush with religion was him being Jesus and then trying to convert everyone to get rid of chaos worship, it would make sense that he was actually Constantine the Great. Constantine the Great was a pagan Roman general who eventually turned to Christianity and pretty much began slaughtering heretics and just absolutely bodying everything. He rebelled against Rome, took over pretty much anything nearby, was a very honorable man and would never kill civilians, and would always give people second chances. And on top of all of this, he's also part of the reason we have the Catholic Church. He pretty much got all of the arguing priests together and made them form a super church. So, for Christianity and, converting people, because, again, he made the state religion of Rome Christianity. So, he's the reason modern-day Italy's Christian, he's the reason France is Christian, he's the reason the British are Christian, he's the reason the Spanish are Christian, he's the reason there's, a massive, Christian population, at least there was, in the Middle East, although, obviously, Christianity started in the Middle East, but it was still a fairly niche thing, but he's the one who popularized it. And, he's pretty much spread Christianity throughout the empire. And also established a church which would, further spread the religion. Next up on our list is King Charlemagne. Now, given the theory I was talking about earlier, where the Emperor Mankind, pretend to be Jesus in order to, get people away from chaos worship, this also makes sense because Charlemagne was very, very crucial in uniting France and spreading Christianity to German neighbors and other barbarian tribes in order to save their souls. Now, there's really not too much to go off here. This is just kind of feeding into my theory that, the Emperor spread Christianity to help, starve the Chaos Gods and prevent human corruption. And anyway, the next... Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm breaking character. While I was researching for this video, this story of Joan of Arc honestly made me just really sad. Okay, let's go. So, Joan of Arc was a, peasant woman who was, born in France and whatnot. She was mostly illiterate, and eventually, she had voices and visions from, angels and saints that, would pretty much have her, join the French army, dress as a boy, and, kick the English out of France to help end the 100 Years' War. And eventually she was captured. Eventually she was able to drive the English off of France. But then the French went to war. But then the France that she was a part of went to war with the French who were, pro-English. And during this, she got defeated and captured and was then sold to the English, where the English starved her, abused her, and did all sorts of horrific things to her that I don't want to get into. And honestly, seeing this young woman who was full of hope be broken by these disgusting savages, honestly, just was really depressing. And so, yeah, I believe that the Emperor Mankind was her, and, part of the reason this was, the Emperor Mankind's just chilling, and he sees that these two countries are literally at war for over 100 years, and so he gets involved to, try to end the war, because he wants to, stop all the bloodshed and whatnot. Okay, so this is one of the weaker connections, but the Emperor Mankind was generals, was women, was soldiers. He'd wear whatever badge he wanted to. I'm not saying the connection's weak. I'm saying the reason for him getting in is a bit weak, but I can definitely see it. Okay, next up is Isaac Newton. Now, for those who don't know, Isaac Newton was an absolute genius. And Isaac Newton, pretty much, the reason why we are as advanced as we are now is strictly because of Isaac Newton. He's the one who came up with modern mathematics. He's the one who came up with modern thinking. If it wasn't for him, we would be in the 1800s at max. Probably less. We would have never gotten to the moon without Isaac Newton. The only reason you're watching this video, the reason we have the technology to watch this video is because of Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton revolutionized technology and ways of thinking and theoretical physics. So I actually encourage you to look up Isaac Newton and do your own research, because I cannot give this man justice. Okay, next up on our list, and a massive underrated, historical figure, especially in the science community, is James Watt. James Watt invented the steam engine, and originally the steam engine was used to, pump water out of mine shafts, and, James Watt also invented the horsepower system, and the invention of steam engine kicked off the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution led to where we are now. Genuinely, I truly do mean this, Isaac Newton and James Watt are the two most important men in the scientific field. One thing to note though, the Wilmans actually, like 2,000 years ago, actually had a simple version of steam power, although it was only used as a children's toy and they didn't see any practical, means for it. So although James Watt's steam engine was much more powerful, much more advanced, and made a lot more sense than, the Wilman toy. That's just kind of thing that the Wilmans could have went through the Industrial Revolution. But anyway, James Watt's massive, wave pool there. I encourage you to look this guy up. Again, I am covering these guys fairly. There's not a single, man I've covered on this list deeply. I've only covered them fairly shallowly. So please do your own research. Look up all these historical figures. Look up more historical figures. If there are people that you believe belong on this list, or that you want me to do a part 2 of other people that are on this list, or even just, famous people in history, especially people who might have been the emperor, please leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Now, for the final member of this list, and one of the best people on this list, if not the best in terms of morality. I couldn't find a single bad thing about this guy. All this guy wanted was to make the world a better place, and all the world did was shit on him. For the most part, at least. And I am talking about Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla was born, and his mother said he is going to be a child of light. She was right. Nikola Tesla started working for... And while researching Nikola Tesla, I came to a discovery. That Thomas Edison is a bitch-ass motherfucker. Thomas Edison... So, Nikola Tesla began to work for Edison's company, and he quickly flew through the ranks because he was a genius, and eventually met the man. And the two actually got along very well, although Nikola Tesla preferred AC, a form of electricity, which was, alternating current, while this piece of shit preferred DC. Now, DC can really only be used in, small items, small forms of electricity, because if you have a constant stream of current, it's going to blow things up. So you can only have a small amount of it, as opposed to AC. AC powers your AC. AC powers modern houses. But the thing was, this lowlife wanted DC because he had all the patents on DC and was making money off of DC, while Nikola Tesla just wanted to make the world a better place. So, Nikola Tesla was working for this asshole, and I'm sorry, I never knew how tragic the life of Joan of Arc was, and I never knew how tragic the life of Nikola Tesla is, so this video is kind of pissing me off. So, this lowlife made Nikola Tesla, improve a lot of DC stuff, and offered to pay him 50 grand if he could, make DC better, and he did. He improved DC electricity, even though he thought DC was stupid, but he improved it. And that 50K he was promised, he got the boot. He got kicked out and, told to F off pretty much, and didn't get a single penny of that 50 grand. So he was reduced to making $2 a day digging pits. The smartest man on the planet digging pits. Making $2 a day, hard labor. Until eventually a little man showed up and hired him. And these two guys, massively changed the world and was eventually able to beat off, this asshole's, empire. And was eventually able to replace it. Now, Nikola Tesla was offered, in terms of royalties, because he was paid millions up front, millions in back in the day money. But in terms of royalties, I think it was something like... in modern day money, so not back then money, he turned down $300 million because his friend, the guy who picked him up, who took him from, digging ditches, his company wasn't doing too well, and so Nikola Tesla straight up tore up the contract and said, hey, you don't need to pay me a single cent, just make sure your company does well. Nikola Tesla didn't give a damn about money, he just wanted to make the world a better place and be kind to people who were kind to him. Oh, also, this dipshit would also... And that is his new name, dipshit. This guy would torture animals to prove how dangerous DC was. To prove how dangerous AC was. so that way people would try to use his, DC, his form of electricity. So yeah, score 5,087 on the dickhead contest. Nikola Tesla, score 0. Also, do you like drones? Do you like remote control cars? He's the guy who invented, like, the concept of remote control stuff. Nikola Tesla was a genius. Now, eventually, while Nikola Tesla was working on radio, this fucker from Italy called Monaco Marconi, whatever the fuck his name is, decided to pretty much steal all of Nikola Tesla's patents and began using all the technology he made and tried patenting it himself. And the patent office at first rightfully told him to fuck off because Nikola Tesla had it patented. But then this fucking dipshit from Olio, of course, showed up, gave this asshole a ton of money so that he was able to bribe, or allegedly, again, this is allegedly, the patent office to give Nikola Tesla's patents to him. So Nikola Tesla patented his stuff, and this asshole was empowered by dipshit over here. So asshole and dipshit were now working together to fuck over Tesla, stole his patents from under him, and it just icks me that Nikola Tesla, even after all this BS, just literally had a couple buildings and just invented Tesla coils and just kept trying to advance science, and the entire world just kept effing with him. Like, his workshop burnt down, he became depressed, he died a penniless man who was a shell of his former self, and this guy's story genuinely pisses me off. Like, he is truly a kind man, and the entire world just took a shit on him. And I'm gonna end this video, but I wasn't even talking about the Emperor. I should talk about this video. I was supposed to con you. The entire point of this video was me to con you. I was supposed to sit here, tell you about 40K and the Emperor and whatnot, so I can talk about, real history, because I love history. But then I started researching more, and this video just ended up pissing me off, because fuck the British for what they did to Joan of Arc. I'm swearing way too much. F the British for what they did to Joan of Arc, and F dipshit and asshole for what they did to my boy Nikola Tesla. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I sure didn't. Well, I did, but I didn't. Anyway, I hope you like and please just like and subscribe. My videos haven't been doing too hot recently. Thank you so much for giving me your precious time. God bless you and have a wonderful day.